Welcome. Welcome to this fourth installment of Tarot Tuesday. My Facebook's being weird, so I'm hoping. Sorry, everyone. My Facebook and my computer are being weird, but welcome to Tarot Tuesday. If you've heard that 3 times now, just welcome to the internet world. Um, but this is our fourth session of Tarot Tuesday. We started a month ago by exploring what is a spiritual practice and how tarot can be that for you. So, again, thinking about a spiritual practice as something you enter into with attention, intention, and repetition. Really, anything can be a spiritual practice when you are engaged in that way. For tarot, I was sharing why it's a spiritual practice for me, how it engages my mind, my body, and my spirit, my intuition. And so we've looked at the decks of cards, at the major and minor arcana, and the 4 different suits. The wands, which represent fire and intuition, the cups, which represent water and our emotions, the swords, which represent air and intellect, and then the pentacles or discs or coins, they're called different things, which represent the earth and our bodies and the physical world. So within those 4 suits, you have aces or ones all the way up through tens, and each of those numbers represent a different cycle of life as well, with the aces or ones representing beginnings, all the way to tens, which represent endings and completions. Then you also have the royal cards. You have pages, which often represent children, or again, beginnings and curiosity and a childlike sense of wonder for the world. You have knights, which are cards of action, and you have queens and you have kings, which represent different aspects of the ways in which we nurture the world, with a combination of masculine and feminine energy. So rather than going through each and every single one of those, what I wanted to do today was shift gears to talk about interpreting the cards, because I haven't talked about my practice much for that. And every practitioner and person who uses tarot for whatever reasons has their own individual way of doing it. For me, because I love the written word, all of my various tarot decks I've chosen because they come with really great books. And so in my practice of learning the cards, I spent time reading the various books. If you are a person who loves the written word, getting a deck that has, it can be really short, they can be much longer. Books will be a good way for you to dive in and to learn the various interpretations and meanings of the cards, and to then it's how you start to trust your own intuition as you're engaging with the cards. Also, I like to have various books out when I'm doing a reading. Over the years, I've definitely gotten to know some of the cards better than others. And but even when there is a card that I know really well, when I'm doing a bigger reading, I like to look to say, oh, if I'm engaged in this deck, what does this writer say is a meaning for this card? And let me compare it to this writer. The meanings, again, don't radically change, but I think of it like poetry. And so each writer, each practitioner is using different metaphors to dive into the cards and to dive into their meanings in relation to each other. And there may be a time when the metaphor that this author, this practitioner is using doesn't quite click for me, and I need to hear what a different metaphor is that another person might be using in order for me to get what I need from the cards that day. Another really great way of intuiting meanings, though, is by just looking at the cards, which I think I've said before, but I want to show you what I mean by that. This morning, in my own private practice, the card that I pulled for my intention of the day was this one. This is the 10 of Cups. Tens, again, represent completion of a cycle. It can represent the ending of something. And cups represent emotions. And so this doesn't mean the end of emotions, but in the cycle of of life that the tarot is representing, 10 of Cups means you've completed something, that you are perhaps in relationship in a healthy, wonderful, full circle way. So while this is the image showing a happy, if you can tell, wolf family, in one of my more traditional decks, it shows this. Again, a happy family walking through a field, playing with joy. The cups in this case, again, represent, and the Ten of Cups specifically, a cycle of life in which we have found fullness and contentment. Those two images together, the two families, in joy and play, show that. One of my other decks doesn't show people at all, but rather shows a fire and a night sky, and the cups representing a circle that really is not ending. That's the thing about circles and cycles. While this turning may be complete and we may be in a moment of happiness, that happiness is going to cycle, but also perhaps center us the way the fire in this one is centered. One other card of the Ten of Cups I want to show you, which has slightly different imagery, is this one. And this is from my Next World deck. And you may notice on the bottom, I can't tell if you can read that, it says safety. This author, this practitioner with their images, also gives a very short, usually 1 or 2 word interpretive meaning for that. So if you think of being in family and relationship, no matter what chaos the world may be offering to you, as providing safety and security in the same ways that these families have safety and security together, you can see that the meanings are the same. Cycles, happiness, contentment in family and relationships, that our emotions are at peace, but different images are representing that in different ways. And diving into the different books will also then explicate out the visual metaphors that the cards are showing. So learning meanings, I think, I'm not saying go out and buy 5 or 10 different decks, although you certainly can, but engaging with different cards, with different practitioners, ends up speaking to you and the moment you're in ways that you might find more powerful depending on which deck you are using. For myself today, I've been thinking about family and about this week of Thanksgiving and how fraught that meaning of that holiday is for so many, about how much sorrow and pain there is in the world still during the time of COVID and during the time of so much grief, but that even in the midst, again, of chaos, there is safety with those who are our chosen family, whether we chose them through biology or chose them only through love. And so for this week, for this day, this card really spoke to me with the heaviness in my heart that there is still love and safety with those whom I trust. And that was a powerful reading for me this morning. Usually I do a reading with you, but since I showed you 4 cards, and since the Ten of Cups was so speaking to me, I want to leave that with you, for you to reflect on who in your life, whether it's 1 people or hundreds, create a circle of safety. Who helps you to laugh and to play? Who helps you gather by a fire and look at the stars? Who holds you, and who do you hold in the midst of the world's chaos? I am hoping that between now and next Tuesday, you have moments to center yourself, to reflect, and with whatever tools you might use, with intention, attention, and repetition to feed your spirit and to be well. I'll see you next week. Bye.